Today's scripture reading is Psalm 46 and can be found on page 450 of the Pew Bible. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city. It shall not be moved. God will help it when the morning dawns. The nations are in an uproar, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of the Lord. See what desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations. I am exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. And this is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So it's pretty easy to be peaceful in the sunlight, right? When maybe you're by the beach and your toes are in the sand and the waves are lapping slowly against the beach and the seagulls are floating overhead and the smell of salt in the air. It's pretty easy to be peaceful. Isn't that why a lot of people in New Jersey around this time of the year go off to Florida? They want a little more peace in their life. And I was experiencing quite a bit of peace when I was writing this on President's Day in my sun-bathed office. Sun was streaming in. It was quiet on President's Day because the preschool's not in session, and Mark was taking a comp day for a retreat he had, and he talks incessantly. But the sun was streaming in, and it was quiet, and it was real peaceful. And it's easy to feel peaceful in experiences, moments like that, right? In the sun. But the issue of Psalm 46 is, can we experience a measure of peace in the storm? Because that's what Psalm 46 is about. If you know the psalm, you tend to focus on what we sang and what was just read. Be still and know that I am God. The culminating verse of the psalm. But we forget that up until then, the psalm is nothing but a storm, a turmoil around. It's both natural and national. Let me just point that out a little more clearly. So, natural tumult. The psalmist starts, so we will not fear when earthquakes come and the mountains crumble into the sea. Let the oceans roar and foam. Let the mountains tremble. Let the waters surge. And I can't help think but the fires of the fires ravaging Australia. And 1 billion with a B estimated deaths of animals, including cute koalas. And I can't help but think about those people in Rosedale Beach who had to evacuate to the beach and watch their development burn. Terrible. How do you find peace in that? And we know something about natural disasters, right? Just the name Sandy floods us literally with memories. And if you lost something in Sandy, how did you find any peace in that? So there's natural turmoil in this psalm, and then there's national turmoil. The psalmist writes, the nations are in uproar, the kingdoms totter. And doesn't it feel like in this polarized moment in our families and communities and nations that America's tottering a little bit? Doesn't it feel to you, it feels to me, that sometimes I wonder, someone was talking to me this week and they said, I think the 2020 election is going to be crazier than the 2016 election. I thought, oh my goodness, can we see it? I wonder sometimes if we're not going to melt in the heat of hate around us or fear around us. How do you find peace in that? What brings us together? Right? And then There's always, in a crowd of almost 200 like this, we know that there are a number of us that are going through personal turmoil. Personal ways in which we need to know that God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. Now, I don't know what the personal turmoil is for you. Maybe it's somebody in the family got a diagnosis of the C word. Or maybe the mother-in-law won't talk to you because of a family conflict. Or maybe you're worried about a grandchild or a child or a nephew or a niece who are struggling to find their way. Whatever. How do you find peace in storms? Not just when the sun's out. And so the psalmist culminates in those words that we often remember, "Be still and know that I am God." Now in the Hebrew, this is a very interesting verse. The Hebrew for "be still" can also be translated "relax." We might say "breathe." Right? Or it can also be translated "stop it." Don't spin and worry constantly like I do. So stop it. Or stop that bad habit that's hurting you. Or my favorite sometimes, let it go. I think of Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Forgive. Let it go. Or let the power of God in you help you lift that burden. Right? Let it go. So it's not just, don't just do something, stand there. It's more to that. It's more than, stopping our twitches. It's rich. What is God saying to you? Do you need to relax? Do you need to stop it? Do you need to let it go? And then the Hebrew is also instructive when we get to be still. What's the purpose of being still? Not just to sit still, but to know that God is God. And that "know" word is also fascinating. It means to experience God. To be skilled at centering your life on God. This is what we're trying to do in the Wednesday night meditation centering prayer class, to give us simple practices. And the fascinating thing this past week was we have people who are expert in meditation. And then somehow I'm leading the class. Right? A nurse practitioner, a sleep therapist who use meditation all of the time and can help us, and we work together to experience, to be skilled at centering your life with God. And to the degree that you and I can learn to breathe and to relax and to let it go and to stop, the degree to which we can experience and be centered on God is the degree to which God will enter more deeply in our lives. Sometimes I think that God looks at me like I look at my dogs. They're both named after Japanese anime characters. The black one is Totoro, the white one is Kiki. And I probably have fur of the white one on me someplace. Yeah, there you go. Her fur is all over the place. So Kiki, I want to talk about Kiki. She is deathly afraid of the vacuum cleaner. Well, all I have to do is go to the closet, which also contains her food, by the way, and open the closet door, and she makes a beeline down the steps. And if the door is open down there under the bed to hide, because she's afraid that the vacuum cleaner's coming out. And I'd like to say to her, relax. That vacuum cleaner is good for you. And otherwise, you'd choke on your own hairballs. Otherwise, I'd be so annoyed at you constantly for the stuff that's all over me and the floor. This is good for you. If I could just teach her to breathe, to jump up on the couch and be above it all, and see the loud noise of the vacuum cleaner going below, but just if she could trust me that it's not going to harm her, but help her. But she can't. She reacts out of fear, right? And don't you think sometimes God says that to us? Don't you think sometimes God says to you, like God says to me, Todd, relax. I got this. Back off. I don't need your help. Right? Don't you think sometimes God says, you know, that loud noise, it's just a vacuum cleaner. It's meant to cleanse you and purify you. It's meant to take a mess in your life and beautify it a little bit more. Relax. The degree that you and I can hear that and trust that and let God have it is the degree to which we will experience more peace, more power, more forgiveness, more strength, whatever we need in our lives. If you need a little help with some simple practices, come Wednesday night. We've got a room full of experts that can help you be still and know that God is God. Let's pray. Here we are again, Lord. Now pausing as we often are inclined to rush through our day. Here we are again, Lord, handing over to you, Jesus, that burden which is too heavy to carry that we have been carrying for so long. Here we are again, Jesus, just asking you to pour your love and power and forgiveness in us and through us, that we might let it go. And we might experience in this breath that you are with us, that you've got us, and that you don't need our help. We receive that now. It's in your name that we pray. And all God's people say.